Hi, welcome in. We're going to start here in just a couple minutes. Hang on, I want to make sure that everybody gets in before we really get started. Just hang on for a couple minutes. I want to make sure everybody's here. I'm adding people as we go. So we'll get started in just a second. We want to keep to a schedule. We've got another class right after this one. So I want to make sure we respect everybody's time. Hope you guys are having a good night.
Speak.
She can't see it. She can't hear me.
Speak.
Okay, we're still.
Stop muting me.
There are other people in the class. Okay, guys, I'm gonna wait just one more minute just to see if we have other people coming in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Just a quick little reminder that we have a chat function. So if you guys have questions along the way, feel free to go ahead and pop that into the chat at any time. We'll go over this at the end of the class and make sure that we answer any questions you have. Also, I am doing a PowerPoint for this that has a lot of information. And if you would like that, please put your email into the chat and I'll make sure to get that emailed out to you so that you have it as a reference. There's a lot of information in there. It's a lot of really great information. And it's always good to have that as a reference so you don't have to worry about taking notes or doing any of that. Awesome. Okay. Gonna go ahead and get started, and we may add some people in if they join in a little bit late, but let's go ahead and get started. To start with, hi, I'm Christina Diaz, and I've been a Doterra wellness advocate for about 3 years now. And I love Doterra. I love their mission. I love their essential oils, and there's a lot of things that I love about them, and I use them for a lot of things. But one of my favorite ways to use them is in cooking. And it's actually a lot easier than most people think. And it's actually kind of a great way to get your essential oils into your system. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and share my screen here. And we'll get going. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see that. So we're going to get started. So cooking with essential oils is really kind of fun. And I'm going to go over some of the benefits and some of the oils that you can use, how you can use them, and then just some quick tips in doing them to make sure that you're getting the most use out of them and that you make sure you're doing it properly. And we're going to go for that. So first thing, one of the first benefits of cooking with essential oils is that essential oils have a unique, intense flavor. Plants have the oils stored in different places depending on the plant, and that contributes to their flavor. Dried herbs have lost most of their oil due to evaporation, and so they lose their flavoring. Essential oils are also concentrated oils, so it's a lot of pure flavor, and a little bit goes a long way. You don't need much at all in the way of oils in order to season your food. The second benefit is that they're a lot cheaper, actually, than using fresh herbs or dried herbs. And citrus oils typically cost about 5 to 6 cents per drop. And 1 drop equals about a teaspoon of zest. Herb oils typically cost only about 6 to 12 cents per drop, and they have a super concentrated flavor. And fresh herbs can cost about $5 to $6 per bunch. They have to be in season, and they can go bad pretty quickly. I don't know about you, but I always buy fresh herbs and try to use them, and I can never use them up before they really go bad. So I like using the oils because you can keep them for a lot longer. They're a lot fresher. It's a lot easier, and it's a lot cheaper. And oils can be used year round, and they last almost indefinitely, stored in a cool, dark location. They're also really super convenient. You don't have to spend time chopping your herbs. You don't have to grate zest. You can just simply add some oil to a toothpick and mix it into your food, or you can do a drop of oil while you're cooking. They also have a lot of additional health benefits. They're pure and natural. They're not synthetic. They're not artificial. They're not diluted by alcohol or cut with other chemicals. Oils help support your natural health and wellness as part of your healthy lifestyle. And because doTERRA's oils are pure therapeutic grade, they're free from pesticides, they're free from harmful additives, and doTERRA is really, they make it a point to make sure that they have the purest available oils on the market. They make sure that they are unadulterated, they make sure there's no additives, they make sure every drop you get from every bottle that they give and sell are absolutely pure so that you can ingest them. One of the other reasons I love them. So what kind of oils can you use in your cooking? Well, there's actually a lot, and this isn't an exhaustive list, but it gives you a good idea. And one of the things that you can see if you have your doTERRA oils, one of the quickest ways to see if it's one that you can ingest and use for your cooking is that on the bottle, you will be able to see supplemental facts. And if you look at that, and you see on your bottle and you see supplemental facts, you know that you can ingest that and you can use it cooking. It's a really simple, easy way to do that. So you have some of your sweet spice oils: cardamom, cassia, which is a little bit like cinnamon, only stronger, cinnamon itself, clove, fennel, ginger, peppermint, and spearmint. You've got some savory spice oils, and there's a lot more of the savory spice, and I love it for a lot of different things. Basil, black pepper, cardamom, which is also in the sweet, you will notice. It's good for both. You can use it for savory as well as sweet dishes. And it gives a little bit of flavor profile depending on what you're doing. Cilantro, which is also coriander. They're both the same plant, just a little bit different in where they get them from. Dill, fennel, ginger, lavender, marjoram, oregano, rosemary, and thyme. And then, of course, citrus oils, which is always a favorite of everybody that you can use in all kinds of dishes. They're great with poultry, they're great with fish, they're great in baking. There's lots of different uses for them. Bergamot, grapefruit, lemon, lemongrass, lime, orange. And like I said, this isn't an exhaustive list. So there are other citrus oils that you can get from doTERRA, such as tangerine. They also have some that come as your product of the month, or sometimes with some of their BOGO specials, you can get things like, oh gosh, clementine was just our recent one. Clementine is amazing this month, was one of their product of the months. there's a lot of different things you can do with citrus, and we have a lot of citrus oils available to us. So how do you use them in your cooking? What are the substitutions? How do you do that with a recipe? So here's some really great rules of thumb. For citrus oils, you can use 1 drop of citrus oil for 1 teaspoon. That's how you can substitute it if the recipe calls for citrus zest. If the recipe calls for the zest of an entire citrus fruit, like say a whole orange, you can use 3 to 10 drops of the citrus essential oil instead. Pretty easy, pretty great. Citrus is great in everything. You're going to see that here in a little bit. For minty oils such as peppermint or spearmint, try substituting 1 drop of essential oil for 1 teaspoon of dried mint leaves or 1 tablespoon of fresh mint leaves. Cinnamon is always an interesting one to use. Cinnamon and cassia are very similar, but the strength of the flavor is quite a bit different. For cinnamon, you'll want to start by substituting 1 drop of cinnamon for 1 to 2 tablespoons. Cinnamon's a little bit milder than cassia, or 1 to 2 tablespoons of the ground cinnamon. And then 1 drop of cassia for 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon or cassia. So cassia is always going to be a little bit stronger, so you want to use it just a little bit less. For herbs, for herbaceous oils like basil, marjoram, oregano, rosemary, you're going to start with a toothpick dipped in the oil and stirred into the mixture. And then you can always add more to taste, but you want to just try to do just a little bit at a time. Herb oils can be really strong, so you can always add more, but you can't take more out. Got a couple more people in. For those of you just joining us, we've already started a little bit, but if you have any questions, feel free to drop it into the chat, and we'll get to that here in just a little bit. If you're going to use floral herbs in your cooking, like lavender, they can be used in your cooking, but it's a very uncommon flavor. So you want just a hint of it. So you want to start with a toothpick, dipped into the oil, and then stirred into your mixture. And you can always add more as needed. It's the same as your herb oils. They can be pretty strong, so you want to make sure that you start out really, really light. So some of the other spices, a good rule of thumb is to substitute 1 drop of oil for 1 to 2 teaspoons of dried spice or herb, and 1 drop of oil for 1 to 2 tablespoons of a fresh spice. If you think the oil is strong or the recipe calls for less than the above quantities, just start with a toothpick. If you're really unsure or you're nervous about using an oil and using like a full drop, toothpick is always a great way to start. You just take it, open up your bottle and put a toothpick in, get the oil on there, and then just stir it through your mixture. It's very, very simple. Some of the essential basics for using oils in your cooking, these are just a few tips for you. Getting the exact amount of oil drops can be really tricky. So try placing, if you're doing a full drop, try placing it on a spoon first and then using that spoon to add it into your mixture. Or one of the best ways to do it is to get a dropper top. You can replace your top of your oil bottle with a dropper top, and use that way you can kind of control the amount of drops that you put into your mix. And it gives you kind of an easy way to gauge that. It also gives you a little more space in your bottle so that it's easier to put a toothpick in if you're going to dip it in and use it that way. And it's pretty easy to do with your bottle. You can pop off the top with the orifice reducer that's on top there, the little plastic piece. You can pop that off and then put the dropper top in. It's pretty easy to do, and I use it for a lot of my oils actually, not just ones that I'm cooking with. You always want to use glass or a stainless steel mixing bowl. The plastic cookware can be damaged by essential oils, and you don't really want to do that. And I also use stainless steel or wood utensils to mix and put things together, just as a precaution. I've also used silicone, and silicone works great. You just want to be aware that if you're using an oil like wild orange, that may discolor your silicone if it's a lighter color silicone. Also, oils are altered by heat and they might evaporate. So if possible, you want to add your oil toward the end of cooking. So if it's something where you can do that, so say you're braising some chicken and you've got a mix in there with some vegetables and that sort of thing, or even a soup or a stew, you want to add those drops in towards the end when you're almost ready to serve. And you can mix it through with a toothpick, or you can actually put the drops in depending on what oils you're using. So you just want to try to do that towards the end. Now, if you're baking or something, can't really do that very well. And I usually mix it into my batter, and I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. And you can use it and just go ahead and put it into your batter and it bakes into that and you're fine. You just want to be aware that it can evaporate and you can lose some of that flavoring if you're going to be cooking it in an oven or that kind of thing. It's kind of a nice finishing, you know, you've heard of finishing salt that you sort of put at the end. It's a little bit like that. And this is just a fun little tip recipe that I love. It's an herb spray. So if you want to take a 4-ounce glass spray bottle, the one I have is 2 ounce right here, but 4 ounce to do it. You can put 5 to 10 drops of essential oil, less for herbal or stronger oils. You can put more drops in for citrus, and then 1/8 cup of olive oil. And then you're just going to fill the rest up with distilled water. You're going to shake it up, and you can spray it on all kinds of things. So you can spray it on empanadas, tortilla chips, lime and salt chips, anyone? Spray it with the lime, put some sea salt on it, mix it up. They're amazing. French fries, egg rolls, your baked bread, if you want to add just a little bit to it after it's baked and it's cooling. It's always a really great way to do that. So that kind of gives you just some of the basics with it. And then I'm going to show you a little demo and show you exactly how I do it. And if you joined us late, I let everybody know. I have this presentation available for you. So just drop your email into the chat and I'll make sure that you get a copy of this after the class. Just make sure you go ahead and put your email in there, and I'll make sure that you get that a little bit later. So tonight, I'm going to be making part of my dinner for you. So what I'm doing are pancake sandwiches. And if you've never had a pancake sandwich, you're kind of missing out. Breakfast for dinner is one of our family favorites, and we do it pretty frequently. It's a very no muss, no fuss, easy way to do dinner, especially if it's been a long day or you need some comfort food or it just sounds good. I always think that dinner for breakfast is better than actually at breakfast, or breakfast for dinner rather. Can't talk tonight. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what I do, and what I'm going to do is angle my computer down. I'm not a fancy cooking show, so unfortunately I don't have the overhead cameras so you can see what I'm doing. One of these days maybe, but right now I'm not that fancy. So welcome to my kitchen setup. All right. So I have my glass bowl that I'm using for mixing, and I have my stainless steel whisk, and I actually forgot my spatula. Hold on. And I have my silicone spatula. So what I'm going to do is start to make my pancake mix. And what I do is I usually make enough pancakes that we can make a good half dozen or so sandwiches. And I usually put bacon or ham or whatever sounds good to you in the middle of it. And it's kind of great. So I've got my flour mixture here that I'm just going to put into my bowl. And I've also got my liquid mixture here, which is just my oil, my milk, and a couple of eggs that I'm using for this. And our team leader, Melody, whose account I'm using tonight, is an actual pastry chef. So Melody, just don't judge when you watch this, okay? So I'm just going to kind of put it together and whisk some stuff together, make sure everything's done thoroughly. Typically, I do the wet first and kind of whisk it up before I put in the dry, but tonight, just to make it simple, and sometimes I'm lazy, I just mix it all together. You just want to make sure you get it all mixed up as with your usual baking practices. And now I'm going to go ahead. These are going to be orange cardamom cranberry pancakes, which is kind of a favorite combination for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our wild orange oil. And because it's a citrus, you can put a few more drops in. It's not as strong as one of your herb oils or one of the savory oils like oregano or turmeric. It's not as strong as like ginger, that kind of thing. So it's kind of great to have the citrus and stuff. I love it with baking, but I love it with chicken marinades or fish. And you can put the oils directly in your marinades and then marinate your meat in there and then go ahead and cook it. You're still going to get that flavor, even though the heat may evaporate some of it. You're still going to get a lot of really great flavor because it's going to marinate into your meat. So that makes it really simple and easy to do. So with the wild orange oil, because I like it and I like a lot of flavor and I like it a little bit strong, and I've done this several times before, I'm going to add about 3 drops of the orange oil, except I got 4. So it's a good thing I like it strong. That's, part of the reason I say if you can and you use a cooking oil a lot, put in a drop or top so you can control that a little bit better. As you can see, it's a little hard sometimes. The viscosity of the oils change depending on what kind of oil it is. So sometimes it's a fast drip, sometimes it's a slow drip. So you just want to kind of be aware of that and go for that. Because I've used this a lot and because I know I like it and my family likes it, I don't worry about the drops so much. And then I'm going to put some cardamom in there as well. Now, cardamom is sort of a spicy oil. It's a little bit stronger than your citrus. So I'm really only going to do 1 drop. And this is a faster oil too, so I'm being very cautious with it because you don't want to overdo it. I put the drops in the batter and just kind of mix it through. Makes it really simple. You can do the same with your marinade. When you're mixing up your marinade, you can just put it all together and then pour it over your meat. And it smells amazing. I kind of wish you had smell-o-vision right now because it smells so, so good. So you just want to make sure it's mixed up thoroughly. And then I'm going to add in my cranberries. And depending on how much you like, you can put as many or as little as you like. The cranberry orange cardamom mixture is a favorite of ours. I've also done lemon and blueberry. I've done orange and chocolate, which is amazing. I've done a few different ones. So you can play around with it and do what you want. Oils are really fun to play around with and see what works for you. And then that's it. We're ready to start making pancakes. So pretty simple, pretty easy. It's the same with a marinade. It's the same if you're cooking a dish. So sometimes with these, when we're doing pancake sandwiches, I'll make some home fries and some potatoes, and I will go ahead and start frying them up a little bit, using an olive oil to do that, some salt and pepper, or, kind of do that. And then I use spices to kind of mix through. And I will use a toothpick and dip it and kind of stir it through the mixture. So oregano is a really good one for that. I use that quite a bit. I also use rosemary. I use thyme. When you're doing potatoes, those are all really good spices to do, and I'll do them all separately. You just want to make sure when you're doing your toothpick dip that you have a separate toothpick for each oil. You don't want to mix your oils together in their bottles. So just make sure that you separate it out a little bit. And you can always add more in as you go, as you get more familiar with cooking with them, and how it works and how strong they are. It's a really nice way to kind of just start getting used to it by adding the toothpick. And then you kind of learn, oh, I like it stronger than that. And you can put a drop. Or your citrus oils and you are a citrus fanatic and you love them, easy peasy. You start adding more drops as you go and see how much is too much. Most of the time though, your citrus, you're pretty safe. You know, you can do 3 or 4 drops in a big dish and be fine. When you're baking, you can do that in a batter and it kind of evens out with things. So it's just pretty easy to do and do substitutions with it. And if you follow some of the guidelines that I had on the presentation, they're really good rules of thumb and you'll really soon get the hang of it. You just got to start doing it. Cooking is something that's really fun for me. And I love that I've been able to add this in with part of my doTERRA business because I love to cook. It's kind of relaxing for me. And it's nice to be able to use essential oils that I know are safe, that are good for me, and that give a lot of flavor to the dishes that I have. So I know that was a little bit quick and furious. And that's kind of okay. We wanted to do just kind of a quick introduction. And I want to do another class here in a few weeks and do some more in-depth with it, some more dishes, some more complicated things in there. But that's just kind of the basics that you can start with and make it really easy for you to add some flavor to your dishes. So if you have any questions, feel free to add them in the chat. And again, I just want to remind you, go ahead and drop your email address in there and I can send you a copy of this presentation that has all the information for it. Anybody have a quick question? We've got a class going on right after this one, so we want to make sure that the timing is good and we get it off in time for that. But I want to make sure that I can answer anybody's question if you've got one right now. And you can always find me on my Instagram account or my Facebook account. I'm Lime and Peppermint, 2 oils that you can cook with, and I do cook with, and they're fantastic. So it's just Lime and Peppermint. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I generally post a lot about oils, but I post about food. I post about my German Shepherd. I post about a lot of different things. And I'm always available if you have a question or you want to know more about oils. Everybody else pretty good? I really appreciate you guys coming and taking a look at this. I love sharing my passions, so hopefully this is helpful for you and you guys have enjoyed it. I'm glad that it's fun. It's just a fun way to use your oils, and I think everybody can appreciate that. So anything you've got, you know, there's a lot of, I know some of our basic kits have at least 4 of the top 10 oils in our kits are oils you can cook with. There's lemon, there's peppermint, there's rosemary, there's a lot of good stuff in there. I'm glad you guys had fun. I hope to see you guys again. I'm going to give you one quick second before we end here. If you want a copy of this presentation, just go ahead and drop your email in and then I will get that sent out to you. I'll get that sent out tomorrow and we'll be good for that. Okay. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you have a great night. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one.